All right, let's talk about Packers' first round wide receiver. Yes, if you missed it, they actually drafted a receiver in the first round. Matthew Golden. Let's talk about how he was able to play in his first preseason game, using all 22 footage for this one just because receivers, hard to evaluate them looking at the broadcast footage. So, yeah, let's get into it. First, a lot of slant routes we saw with him. This play, man coverage, running a quick route over the middle. And you're going to see he didn't do a ton of moves, right? He was very quick to get to what he was doing, which has its pros and its cons. The con, of course, is that if you can kind of make someone think you're doing something else, you could potentially gain a half a step that way. The pro, though, is that if you're fast like Golden is, watch how when the ball gets there, it's a well-thrown ball, and he's still able to make the grab and pick up that first down on third down. So you don't have to waste the extra time, which certainly I think in many ways is a good thing. As I said, it can have some potential drawbacks. We saw that on a play a little bit later on, even though this is actually going to still end up being ultimately a good play for the Packers and for Golden. It's again going to be a slant route in what's essentially going to be a one-on-one matchup once again, but the corner is going to inherently be playing a little bit off due to this being zone instead of man. But anyway, watch how when this ball is snapped, Jordan Love looks over in this direction, and as of right now, again, doing the same thing, kind of just running to where his spot is, but because of this, the corner is reading this, and he's actually going to break in on this play. Watch, he breaks in plenty of time, and in fact, he broke in too quickly. He ended up creating contact, so hey, it worked out, right? But ultimately, I think, you're evaluating the receiver, you would like to see him just get separation, because you can't bank on the defender getting there early and knocking you before the ball gets there and getting a penalty. More often than not, the defender is going to just knock the ball away and you don't get the catch. So, it goes both ways. You like that it worked that one time. Maybe you would have liked to see it work a couple more times because they did run it a few times. So, yeah. Although on the flip side, another thing that I did notice that this could have been a big completion if just the play ended up going over there, because you see Matthew Golden running a deep shot against cover 2 zone. And what can sometimes happen, especially if you're running on the opposite side of the hash marks that the ball is getting snapped on, is, there's going to be a little bit of a window in between the safety and the corner. Sometimes that can be bigger because, you see the safety is very much shaded over towards the middle of the field. So when Love takes a snap, again, his read ended up going elsewhere. I'm not blaming him for not looking this way, but Golden's about to get pretty open, and had Love been looking there, this certainly could have been a big completion. Now, granted, the guy he's looking towards is also wide open. Love ends up airmailing that throw, but that would have been a big completion, so I'm not blaming Love for the decision, but ultimately, it just goes to show Golden got wide open on a play. That would have been a nice chunk play because he got there so quickly because of his speed. So, that's a skill play and a very impressive play from Golden. Unfortunately for him, just, didn't get credit for it. That's the life of a receiver. You don't always get the ball when you get open. One more play to talk about. This is a negative. The blocking, which, should I care about a receiver's blocking? Well, I don't know. They moved him here to block, they're having him run this play. It's at least worth talking about. Yes, you can survive with a receiver that doesn't block. You just don't have him as a blocker, but that could take you out of the game on certain plays, things like that. Anyway, let's just show the play. As you see, he doesn't do a great job blocking here. Okay, it is what it is, but, maybe he's not going to be a tight end at any point. It was also just one play. Unfair to jump to too much conclusions. But yeah, ultimately, Golden did some nice things. I don't think Golden lit the world on fire in his first preseason game, but definitely did some nice things. And maybe has some, some areas where he can improve upon. Maybe with those slant routes, he can kind of try to, fake as though he's going one way a little bit better to help himself get a little bit more space. Things like that. Those are things you just have to learn at the NFL level. Because in college, he could just run by everybody, so who cares, right? A little bit more technique you need at the NFL level. That's why you have him play preseason, so they can learn that stuff. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Matthew Golden. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.